Mr. Chairman. As an academic physician who comes out of a research background, I truly appreciate the analogy with healthcare and what we do in medicine and the importance of doing research in our academic and research universities. The fact that we do a lot of experiments, that we look for solutions, and we fail a lot, but we're constantly feeding that back into the system, and then we have that major breakthrough. Where we fall down in the academic centers, and Ms. Benzel touched on it, is we don't know how to then take those ideas to market. You touched on the issue of technology transfer and how important that is. I'm a firm believer that we would not be able to do the research that we do without the federal government's funding of our academic centers. But we do need to do a better job with technology transfer. What would your suggestion be as a best practice model of taking idea to market, given that you've worked on both sides of this?
Well, thank you very much. I agree with Dr. Chang. It is a contact sport. We can't do the wait till the end and throw it over. And so I think the best practice model is early engagement. Engage early and often. So as I say, encouraging the fundamental research funding organizations to call out for tech transfer from day one, from the time you write your proposal and come up with your idea. Opportunities for communications and meetings with a variety of industry partners, opportunities to understand the needs that are out there, and to work with different kinds of funding models, both with things such as venture capital organizations who might be willing to take some of the risk in early technology, and also on the university side. So the University of Southern California, we have the Stevens Institute that works with our researchers early on. So early and often. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, also as a former associate dean at a University of California medical school, we focused a lot on the workforce issue, recruiting the best and the brightest, and then retaining those individuals. On the issue of cybersecurity, on the issue of making sure we have enough computer science professionals, we don't have enough engineers in this country. We're not graduating enough engineering students or programmers. In other sectors of IT, we're certainly trying to get that workforce from abroad, but on the issue of cybersecurity, we need a homegrown workforce because these are issues that are critical to national security. Dr. Chang, you touched on this a bit. What are some models that we can use to continue to recruit and retain the best and the brightest to go into areas of information technology, and then go into both the service sector, working for the federal government, working for our Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security, because they can make 10 times as much going off into the private sector, but we need some of the best and the brightest working to protect our country.
I was recently in a meeting with some folks in Austin where we talked about a very sort of broad approach that would incorporate trying to recruit students of many ages and many disciplines. There's a program that has recently started in New Jersey. It's referred to as Cybersecurity Centers, and they basically have these kind of initial competitions that begin attracting people from all walks of life, maybe former military, there are 16-year-olds, just a whole group of folks. And then depending on how they do in that initial competition, and it's a fun competition. It sort of capitalizes on people's interest in just competing in sort of a person-on-person competition. And then depending on how you do with that, the people who are more skillful sort of move on. But it's this notion of can we come up with ideas that attract many, many people, and then if they have a particular propensity to kind of move forward, then you can kind of winnow them down. I mentioned that there is this need for extremely technical, deeply elite people, but you have to have a broad funnel to kind of bring them in, and then a way to successfully kind of pull out the people who will operate at the highest levels.
Wonderful. So playing off of what you just mentioned, I would ask our committee to look at returning veterans, men and women who have already shown their patriotism to this country, already understand the service to our country and the immediate need to protect ourselves, and looking for strategic ways to get those folks engaged through our modern GI Bill and so forth to get these skills. I yield back.